All right, so good evening, class. We are now done with our mathematics of physics last meeting, and we discussed the trigonometric functions and the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. So before we start our main lesson for today, we will have first a sort of review of what you have already discussed last week. So let's have now start our Kahoot game. Oh, be ready with your calculator, please. An airplane approaches an airport at 1,020-meter high. Its angle of elevation is 20.5 degrees. How far is the plane from the airport? All right, so you have 1 minute left. You still have 1 minute to answer. Remember your trigonometric functions, the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. Okay, 20 seconds left. I'm still waiting for others to answer. Right, you have 10 seconds left. Please now press the correct answer. And 5 seconds. And the correct answer is the red one. Okay, so this is tangent theta. So your height here will be the opposite, and the one we are solving is the adjacent part. Okay, so let's now go to the little board. Okay, Sophia, Zarain, Elliot. So those are the three who got a correct answer. Let's go to the second question. You stand 25 meters from the base of a tree and the angle of elevation is 48 degrees. How tall is the tree? You stand 25 meters from the base of a tree and the angle of elevation is 48 degrees. How tall is the tree? All right, you have 60 seconds left, 1 minute to go. Take your time, use your trigonometric functions, and learn how to derive the formula. Last week, we also talked about the derivation of formula. So you learn also how to derive the formula. Okay, you have a half a minute left. You have half a minute left. Ten seconds. Finalize your answer. Press the color. All right, 4 got a correct answer. Oh, I hope that you are practicing your trigonometric functions. So we have this top 5, Zarain, Sophia, Cheryl, Arlette, Ella. Let's go to number 3. Joe stands at the top of a cliff and looks down at 49 degrees at a boulder, 17 meters from the bottom of the cliff. The question there is, how high is the cliff? I forgot to write the question. How high is the cliff? Okay, take your time. You have 70 seconds left. All right, you have 30 seconds left, and still others are not pressing their answer. So you choose the color. Is the red, blue, yellow, or green? Okay, 20 seconds left. And you will have bonus points when you are in the top 5. Okay, so mostly got a correct answer. So 8 got a correct answer. All right. And the little leaderboard is Zarain, Sophia, Ella, Cheryl, and Elika. Still, others you can you can make habol. True or false? The angle of depression is the angle formed above the horizontal line. True or false? The angle of depression is the angle formed above the horizontal line. Okay. Uy, 10 seconds. Tira ka mo sa time. 10 seconds lang. Okay, let's go to the next. The last question. Is the given angle of 70 degrees an angle of elevation or angle of depression? Refer to the picture. Is that angle of elevation, angle of depression, neither or both? And stop. Oh, one only got a correct answer. And let's start the podium. That's both. Both are actually angle of elevation and angle of depression. So Zarain is on the top, Ella, Shane, Cheryl, and Elika. So I'll get the name. Cheryl, Elika. Right. So we will continue our lesson as so we are now reviewed and naka-review kita ng ating lesson no last week, and I hope you have to study that further about the angle of elevation and the angle of depression, or the application of the trigonometric functions, as well as how to derive formulas, because in the problem you can see a while ago that there are also derivation of formulas that you have to get the missing variable, or the variable that is asked in the problem. So okay. All right. So again, good evening to all, and we will now continue our lesson for today. Now, I know you are actually, or every time you go to the market, ano ang pinaka-una nyo nga pamangkot nga ginamangkot nyo kung magbakal ka mo sa market? Kang mga bugas, kang mga meat, anong una nyo ginamangkot?
Tagpira ang kilo, sir.
Oh, yeah, correct. That's true. Okay, how about if you are in telahan? Anong una mo ginamangkot, or anong ginamangkot mo kung mabakal ikaw ka tela?
Tagpira ang metro, sir.
Okay, correct. Kung tagpira ang meter. Now, we're talking about meter. We're talking about kilograms. So, once we're talking about kilograms or meter, so what do we mean by that? What are we referring to?
Measurement, sir.
Very good. Those are measurements. Now, our lesson for today, class, is all about measurement. What comes into our mind? Ano unang gasulod sa ulo ta kung bakit nga measurements? Mr. Servillon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, kung maghamba ko ng measurements, ano ang ginanamin natin?
Mga centimeters, inches, sir.
Okay, centimeters, inches, amo na mga measurements. So, measurements are we always thinking about units, no? Units of measurements. Part ng ating pagpangabuhi ang mag-measure. Do you think what is the importance of having measurements? Why do we need measurements? Do we need that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we need that. Why? Why you said so?
Para, sir, nga masukol kag mabalance ang kalabagan or kaduruhon kang igamitan mo.
Okay, masukol ang imong ginhambal, mabalansi. There will be an equilibrium, no, on what you are measuring on siguro mabalansi mo nga, ay enough rin siya ang gamitan ko, hindi rin siya sobra-sobra rin siya, too much rin, no? So what else? Ano pa? according kay na kay Mark, kambal na, matao kang balance, nga masukol mo kung pira lang gusto mo nga gamitin. No, kung amo kariya, if you are going to look at it, you will see that the main purpose of measurement is, for me, for my own observation, you are going to put everything in what we call as order. So without measurement, siguro, it will be very hard to organize something. Dato man ka disorganized kung wala ti measurement. So because of measurements, everything is in order, right? No, in cooking, like for baking, the result of your product in baking would not be that successful if everything is not in order, or you did not measure the amount of materials that you're going to use for baking. So may mga exact measurements sila, not only in baking, even in some other menu nga gusto mo nga raon. Kaya kung magsobrahan ka kaasin, so magwa na sometimes nga ang mapait man. Kung tamaan makagamay ang asin, malasay man. So you need to measure, to estimate something so that you could have a perfect taste of what you are cooking. And even class, in your everyday life, you have to place everything in order, even measuring your time. That's why it is very important that you have to have your time management. Amo ba na mahambal ikaw nga ginayawan gid ako, kaakin nga urubrahen, mga mukha ay think sometimes mas bahalawid pang duyo ta sa ginaubrata. So ang pag-measure ta kang time natin to have that organized work to do in accordance to the time nga ginatugro ta, mura kita sa in order. Amuri ang gwa na, chaos ang pagwa na. No? Even in our international borders, no, we need to have these borders. It's because it's very important to know your own property. Nga dapat asadya lang akin. Bisan sa lupa lang. Ita mo, duruga ni ka pinatsanay sa lupa. Kahit nga gani nga kung magsala-sala lang ang measurements na, ay iba ginapasubrahan da nga sa titulo gali, amulan dyan na dapat ang ana nga measurement. So importante ang titulo, because in the titulo, in the title, you will see there the actual measurement of your lot. So wala ti away. So kung may inaway man, pwede mo mapakorte. So everything will be in order because of that certain measurement. So even in science, no, in laws and principles that are discovered in science, why do we have those formulas? Now, in physics, we will be dealing mostly of formulas. Now, these formulas are laws and principles. And how did they or how did this scientist come up with this certain laws and principle? Because of the series of experimentation. And in the experimentation, you need to have an accurate measurement. Because if your measurement will not be that accurately correct, no, ang matabo, hindi sakto ang imo nga mga result, kag gagrinua lang result mo, you cannot come up with that testimony not to prove that your hypothesis is correct or not. So in testing your hypothesis, you have to measure. So as you can see, everything is, we need measurements because measurements put everything in order, even in our daily life activity. So that is about measurements. So kay nagahambal kita nga you need units to measure. Okay, ang example na mga units natin, those are centimeters, meters, and this actually depicts a certain quantity. Okay, quantity na ginatawag. Once we talk about quantity, in math, ano ang ginanamin taka-quantity?
Amount or number, sir?
Correct. Once we talk about quantity, we're always referring with amount. That's exactly correct. Or a number. So, amurang ginanamin natin once makahambak kita nga quantity. Alright. So, once we're talking about quantity, we're referring to a certain amount or a certain number. That's why measurement speaks with number. Without that number, hindi ma-visualize ang imo measurements. But why is it that we use in just one quantity, may mga iba-iba kita nga unit na ginagamit? Because there are two classification of units that we use. One is the metric system, and the other one is the English system. So the metric system are what we are used as a standard measurement. In the Philippines, we're using the metric system. Meters, kilograms, those are grams, no? Amura mga metric system natin. So English system usually used in the English countries like America or even in Europe, they use the English system like inches, feet, ounces, yard, no? Amura ginagamit na dito sa ibang lugar, or tons, miles, kanatin kilometers, kananda miles. So those are the classification. But this quantity class have different kinds, or there are actually two kinds of quantity. It could be a basic quantity. Basic because patawag nga everyday natin yung ginagamit, gina-measure natin everyday. And of course, we have also the derived quantity. Okay, what's the basic quantity and what's a derived quantity? Actually, there are 6 basic quantities in physics. If you are dealing with chem, you will add 1. There are 7 actually. But in physics, we will just have 6 basic quantities. Okay, what are these? So we have the quantity. Let's classify. We have the symbol. What's the symbol of the quantity? The unit used for that quantity and the unit symbol. Okay, symbol. All right. The first basic quantity class is length. Length is the first basic quantity. And the symbol for length is small letter L. And the unit or the standard unit for L here in the Philippines, of course, we use meter, the standard unit. And the unit symbol is small letter M. The next one is very common that we use every day is the time. And the unit symbol, or the symbol, I mean, of time is small letter T. And of course, the standard unit is second. And we have a small letter S. Next one, the third most important is the mass, which is also we use every day when we go to the market to buy something na ginagamitan ng kiluhan, di ba? So we have the symbol small letter M, and the standard unit is kilogram, or it has a unit symbol of kg. Then the next one class, which is tamaan ka ano kadya uso sa kadya nga panahon kay because of the COVID-19, which is the temperature. We need to check our body temperature every day to secure that we are free from the vax or free from the COVID virus, no? Pero as of now, bisan mo ako kahilanat, pwede ka rin maka-COVID. Kaya may mga tawag nga asymptomatic. So, mura nga stay at home lang kita. And the standard unit is Kelvin. And the unit symbol is big letter K. The fifth one is electric current. So, mamanan mo ra kung nami ang dagan ka kuryente sa balay nyo, kay okay ang kuryente, wala ka fluctuate, kay sometimes ka fluctuate ang kuryente. And the electric current is measured in terms of I, or the symbol is I, and the unit used class is ampere. And it has a big letter A as the unit symbol. And the last one for physics is the luminous intensity. And this luminous intensity is measuring the brightness of a certain luminous object. Anong ginatawag ng mga luminous object? These luminous objects are objects with the ability to produce its own light, like your candle, like your light bulb, your fluorescent lamp at home. Sun is the example, fire is an example. And it has a symbol of big letter L, and the unit used is candela. Okay, it's a candle laging base. So sa kakandila, it's one luminous or one candela. So we have CD as the unit symbol. So these are the 6 basic quantities that we were going to use as we go on with our lesson in physics. Length, time, mass, temperature, electric current, and luminous intensity. So how about this derived quantity? Ano tayo natin ka derived quantity? Okay. So derived quantity class with ED, derived quantity. Because it is a combination of 2 or more basic quantities. It's a combination of 2 or more basic quantities. These quantities are, ang basic mo, yung combine natin, nag-form kita ka derived quantity. For example, your area is length times width. No? Ang area natin is length times width. It is a combination of a length, which is length, and width, also length man. Okay, so that's why length times width. So area is a derived quantity. It's made up of 2 lengths. So dalawa ka length, 2L. Okay. Your volume is also an example of a derived quantity because it is made up of length, width times height. So your volume is made up of 3 lengths. Okay. Your speed class is also an example of a derived quantity because it is a combination of distance and time, which is length and time. So we have 1L and 1 time. Okay. So mura. So ang derived quantities are quantities that are combination of 2 or more. So duro pa. May term pa kita nga acceleration. Okay. May force. Puro na derived quantities because these are all made up of 2 or more basic quantities. So ginatawag riya nga derived quantity. All right. So do we have a question? You just please open your mic if you have questions. Now, in English class, I know sa English natin nga klase, may ginagamit kita nga ginatawag natin nga prefix. Okay. Ano ang purpose ng prefix sa English? Or can you give me an example of prefix used in English?
Re.
Re. Good. Okay. You make a you put the prefix on a word. Okay, what word? For example, search. Okay. So what word will you arrive when you connect the re on the word search?
Research, sir.
Research. So what's the meaning of search?
Mangita, sir.
Okay, mangita. Okay, kung di matangan mo kare, nag-iwan ang meaning na.
Nabago, sir.
Okay, ang search ginamit to find out, di ba? Okay, ang research is to find out it again. Diwaten ta, no? So nag-change ang meaning. Okay, what else? Ano pa? Ma-example.
This, sir.
This. Okay. O, think of a word and then you put the prefix this.
Disappear, sir.
O, disappear. Kung mag-apang nga ang baka nga appear, mapakita. Di ba la? Kung mag-disappear, madura. Okay. In physics or in units class, we use also prefixes. Gagamit man kita ka prefixes to change the meaning, not the meaning, but to change the value of a certain quantity. There are quantities that are actually, or there are measurements that are very, very large that you need to have 15 zeros, or very, very small that you need 20 decimal places, and it will be very hard to write. But if you know the prefixes, you will understand what's the meaning or what's the value of that certain measurement. So I will have to write some prefixes that we use in physics. Okay, so the first prefix we will from the from the smallest to the least. Okay, the first prefix is atto. Atto is a symbol of A, and that is 10 raised to negative 18. So 0.00000 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Amura. Ti kung sulatan mo, tamaan ka, rayo. Tamaan ng kabalbahal. So, pwede ko ka atometer. So, you're dealing with very, very small organisms or microorganisms or particles. No? So, kung sulatan mo gudang measurement na, mabuta papil mo. So, kung may prefix, nagalain ang ana nga value rin kung may prefix. Amura nga very important na may prefix daw. Next, we have femto. Femto is small letter f, 10 raised to negative 15. Then we have pico. Okay, correct. Pico. Pico is p, 10 raised to negative 12. Then we have nano. Nano is n, 10 raised to negative 9. Then we have micro. Micro is this symbol. This symbol, class, is read as mu. I hope my spelling is correct. Mu. Though I don't know kung may W pa. But this is a Greek symbol. Okay, that's mu. Read as mu. So this is 10 raised to negative 6. Then we have milli. Milli is small letter m. That's 10 raised to negative 3. Then we have centi. It's letter C. That's 10 raised to negative 2. You're familiar with that. Centimeter. That's 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Then let's go to the bigger values. Let's start with kilo. So kilo with small letter K. Small letter K, and it has a value of 10 raised to 3. So 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meter. Then we have mega. Mega is big letter M. That's 10 raised to 6 or 1 million. Okay, this is 1,000. This is 1 million. Then we have giga. So familiar ka mo kaya, gigabytes, no? So it's giga. We have big letter G, 10 raised to 9. It has 9 zeros. And then we have tera. So kung may terabytes, ikaw nga tera MVP ito, terabytes si manda sa atin nga sa atin nga signal, mukabalan bigdi imo go signal no kang imo internet tamang gigadasig. So tera, big letter T, 10 raised to 12. And then we have peta. Peta is P, 10 raised to 15, and the last one is exa. Big letter E, 10 raised to 18. So these are our prefixes that we use for units to change the value of the unit. Sometimes we're dealing with very, very small units or measurements, I mean, and we're dealing with very, very big measurements. One way of writing small and big numbers in math is scientific notation. But I will not discuss that because it was already discussed by Ma'am Gadayan. And likewise, you discuss with Ma'am Gadayan the conversion of units from one unit into another. That's why, because we have an English system and we have a metric system, so iba-iba ang value na, so natun-an nyo kung paano ka mag-convert. Now, but here, I'll give you some formulas, class, na feeling ko wala yan na-discuss ni Ma'am Yo, no, in conversion, which is the formula of temperature. So if you are converting degrees Celsius, which is the metric system, to degrees Fahrenheit, you will going to use 9/5 degrees Celsius plus 32. Okay? If you have degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, you have 5/9 degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. And the standard unit is Kelvin. So from degrees Celsius to Kelvin, you will have degrees Celsius plus 273.5. That will be your conversion for Kelvin. So we are now done with, of course, with measurements. And now let's go to the first part of our lesson in grade 7, the actual lesson, which is on vector and scalar quantities. Now, if quantities can be, there are two kinds of quantities. It can be basic or derived quantities. And there are also, again, two classification of quantities. Quantities class may come as scalar quantity, and we have vector quantity. Okay, so once we talk about scalar, this scalar quantity is only speaking with a magnitude. So baka magnitude, it's an amount. Just an amount. Quantity, a magnitude. So you are measuring only the amount of that certain particular situation that we are going to describe. For example, length, no? 30 meters, 2 inches, 3 feet, 5 feet, 2 yards. So you're talking about an amount. So that is a scalar quantity. The 6 basic quantities can be classified as scalar quantity, but there are also derived quantities that can be classified as scalar. And there are also derived quantities or basic quantities that can be classified also as vector quantity. So maganda ko nga scalar, we are only referring to a certain number and no more description. Vector quantity is also a scalar quantity because it has a magnitude, but it is also referring to magnitude plus the direction. May direction tana ang imo nga tawag dya, ang imo nga vector quantity. So once we talk about scalar quantity, you're only referring to magnitude, while vector quantity is you're referring to the magnitude and the direction of a certain particular situation. For example, your length class or your distance is an example of a scalar quantity. Distance are 5 meters, no, 2 inches, 3 feet. So those are distances. We're referring to the length of the material. Now, if you are going to put it as a vector quantity, matawag rin tayo na kariya nga displacement. So magiging displacement rin tayo. Displacement because no, magabaka nga displacement. So my particular direction rin. So 5 meters north or 7 meters to the right. So there is a specific direction to tell no that certain length is going to. So ginatawag rin niya displacement. Same also with your speed. So speed is a scalar quantity. It is defined as scalar quantity. So your speed could be 2 kilometers per hour or 3 meters per second, no? So ginatawagan na nga speed because you're just only answering the question, how fast? Ano kadasig? So wala rin ti iba nga information ikaw makita. Pero kung batangan mo rin ka direction, bukat rin na nga speed. Ginatawag rin na kariya nga velocity. So velocity class is as vector quantity. So kung may 2 kilometers per hour south or 50 kilometers per hour going to Sibalom there. So there is a specific direction to tell where is that certain 50 kilometers per hour going to. But pero kung makambalang ikaw nga 50 kilometers per hour, that is only a scalar quantity. I hope that is clear with you. So as we go on with our physics lessons, we will be dealing with many quantities like forces, work, power, pressure, density, luminous intensity. We have the luminous flux, resistant, voltage, capacitor or capacitance, I mean. So those are quantities na atin nga sugalaw or i-deal natin as we go on with the lessons in physics. And we will going to classify this as vector and scalar because it will be very easy for us to understand if we know that is a scalar or a vector quantity. So every time ito mag-lesson, i-define tagid ang certain quantity whether it is a vector or a scalar. Kay tungod nga, mas simply ang intindihan kag mas simply sulbon kung maman-an natin nga vector quantity ta nagali. So between the scalar and the vector quantity, you can see that scalar is more interesting because you're not only dealing with a number, but there is a direction that we are dealing with. Okay, so we will going to define first a direction. There's no need for us to define. Because you know already what's the meaning of direction. Something that it leads you to somewhere, no? Amo lang tawag nga direction, something that will leads you into somewhere. Now, in your kindergarten or in your grade 1, you have 4 kinds of direction. Now, if you're going to put it, you form a cross, no? Okay, may 4 kita ka directions. Ano ganyang 4 ka directions natin sa kan grade 1? Tanga na tunan.
North, south, east, and west, sir.
Correct. The north, the south, the east, and the west. Okay. Amurang 4 ka direksyon ang atin natunan, no? Kang pag ano natin kang atin nga pag elementary natin nga days. So there are 4 kinds of direction. We have the north going up. That's why nga kung mag-ubra ikaw kang cross with a certain arrowhead, ang north nagapababaw, si south nagapadalom. Then we have the west going to the left and the east going to the right. All right. Now, in your elementary, you talk about the number line. Nadumduman nyo ang number line. Okay, at the middle of the number line, you have the value of 0. Okay, going to the right, ano gani yung mga numbers going to the right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sir.
Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. How about to the left? Anong mga numbers sa left?
Negative
Mga
1,
negative numbers, sir.
Okay, correct. All are negative numbers. Going to the left, decreasing. Going to the right, increasing. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So you can deal it with this line or this is a horizontal line. Now in your math, if you are in math, this is an x-axis. Kung sa math natin rin, sa algebra natin rin. X-axis, a horizontal line. We have also a vertical line going up, and you have also could have a number line. No, here this is recorded as 0. Going up are all also counting numbers which are positive counting numbers, and then going down are numbers which are also negative numbers. Okay, that is in the number line. This is called as the vertical line. Okay, atin the vertical, horizontal gabatang, and sa atin algebra, tawag na ang y-axis. Now, if you combine the two, you will see it here. Which actually, which is also projects, ga-project man tana, kang imo nga direction. Okay, this going up is called as a positive y, and going down is negative y. Tama, no? Going up, pababaw, puro positive. Padalong, puro negative. And this one is called as positive x. And here, this is also called as negative x, going to the left. So comparing it, you will see that direction could be also represented by signs. Pwede ta na i-represent by sign. Pwede ta na mag-positive lang, pwede ta na mag-negative. So kung tinakan mo si north, no? North and east are considered to be as positive directions. And south and west are considered as negative directions. All right, so muna na tayo na. Now, combining the x and y in your math, you form what we call as our Cartesian plane. So sa grade 8 nyo, i-discuss dyan, or basi last grade part ng inyo lesson sa grade sa math, i-discuss dyan anong Cartesian plane. Your Cartesian plane is made up of a positive, of an x and y axis, no? And then you form, actually, you form 4 quadrants moving counterclockwise. Quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4 moving here counterclockwise. In quadrant 1, you will see that your x is positive and y is also positive. If the value of your number is positive, there's no need to write the plus sign. Okay? Here in your quadrant 2, your x is negative and your y is positive. In quadrant 3, your x is negative and your y is also negative. In quadrant 4, your x is positive and your y is negative. Okay, so kung tinakanta, nag-form kita ka Cartesian plane, na these are the value of your x and y in each of the quadrant. So you will see quadrant 1 is x is positive, y is positive. X is negative, y is positive for quadrant 2. All are negative in quadrant 3, and in quadrant 4, x is positive and y is negative. Okay, so kabay pa nag-follow kita. Next, we can also relate this direction, class, in terms of quadrantal angles. Quadrantal angles that we use in geometry. Starting from the origin, you will have 0-degree angle. From here, which is the positive y, is measured as 90 degrees. And here, this is measured as 180 degrees, going from the 0 origin. And this is 270 degrees. Back here, you form a whole circle moving from here up to here as 360 degrees. So one complete rotation is 360 degrees. So the value of each direction, your east could be read as, as 0 degrees, or 0 degree, or 360 degrees. Your north is 90 degrees, your west is 180 degrees, and your south is 270 degrees. Okay. Are you following? Kabay pa. Now, you have 4 directions here. We have the north, the south, the west, and the east. Pag abot natin kang grade 5 ta, nagdugang kita kang 4 pagid. So what if bisir nagtupa ang akin niya angle in between niya, exactly in between ka north kag east. So ginatawag li atana nga northeast. Okay. Diay ginatawag diyan nga northwest. Diay ginatawag atana nga southwest. This one ginatawag tana ka diyan nga southeast. All right. But then we have to be more specific in physics. More specific pagkikita. So i-divide pagkit natin, dungangan ta pagkit ang ating direction, kawalo ka bilog. This one, kung below 45 degrees, ay ginatawag ta na kadya nga north of east. North portion kang east. Norte kang east. Babaw, norte. This one is east of north. Now, this one is west of north. This one is north of west. Here you will have south of west. This is west of south. This one is east of south, and the last one is south of east. So hindi dya paglipatan ang bilungay dya nga problem nga direction. Kay need natin diya as tak mag-solve ka component vectors na lesson ta next week. All right? Vector representation. Vector class is represented by okay, so vectors representation. So ang vector natin is represented by an arrow. So an arrow class has two parts. Ano ang parts ng arrow natin?
Head and tail, sir.
Correct. This one is the head. And this one here is the tail. Okay. So the head and the tail are two parts of the arrow. This part or each part may anarang gina-represent. Si head gina-represent na si direction. While si tail gina-represent na si magnitude. So ang kabahilan kang imo nga tail, amo man nakabahilan kang imo magnitude. For example, bala, may dalawa ka vector. 2 meters north. Kag 4 meters north. Dalawa, no? So, duwingan mo si 2 meters north, amura. Si 4 meters north, amo siya. So, mas labog ta na si 4 meters north kumpara kay 2 meters north. So, ang imo nga arrowhead, kapasaka pababaw, kay it is directed or directed upward. Okay, so it's how we represent your vectors. Now, let's now go to the adding or subtracting or adding vectors. So the one or the result class in adding two vectors is called as resultant vectors. Resultant vectors are the summation of vectors. So doon, kung ni-add mong dalawa ka vector, amurang result na. That's the resultant vector. But the question is, how can we solve vectors? Paano natin ma-solve ang vector? Amurang pamangkot. Alright. So there are two cases that we are going to use in solving vectors. Dalawa ka case ang atin gamitin. The first one, or the case number one, is it is forming a parallel lines. Two vectors are forming parallel lines. Are two lines that they do not meet. So this is an example of parallel lines. So dalawa ka linya nga wara tanan nagamit. Okay. So what if two vectors are forming parallel lines? The only thing that you have to remember here, class, is to know how to add vectors in terms of integers. I hope you remember your method of solving integers, the step in adding integers. Okay, let's say for example, we have two vectors. Vector A is 5 meters north and vector B is 2 meters north. So if you're going to draw that, this is 5 meters north and we have 2 meters north. So these are both north, so they are both positive. So 5 plus 2 becomes 7. So 7 meters, both are in the north direction, so the direction is north. Okay, so if they are moving in the same direction, you will subtract, you will add. Okay, so what if they are moving in different direction? For example, your A is 5 meters south and your B is 2 meters north. Amurang B natin. Okay, so si 5 ta going padalam, si atin nga beta na is going pababaw. Okay, so 5 and 2. So si 5 is south, Kag natun-an natin kaina si south, negative direction. So negative 5 plus 2. Kay si 2 natin north, so positive ra. Okay, ano ganyang rules natin in adding integers if the two integers they have different signs? Ano gani? Wanan ta gani na? Sino makadumdum? Ah?
Subtract, sir.
Correct. I-subtract natin. So 5 minus 2 becomes 3. And how can we decide for the sign of the integer, of the number? Elika, paano ta mag-decide?
Follow the bigger absolute value, sir.
Correct. Follow the bigger absolute value, which we're in the higher or the bigger absolute value is 5. The sign of 5 is negative. So therefore, that is negative. So therefore, if it is negative, your answer here is 3 meters south. Kay negative ang sabat mo. Amuri paano mag-solve kang atin nga vectors. Alright? So may question pa kita? Or I'll give another example. Okay, last example. 4 Newton. Okay, 4 Newton west and 6 Newton south. Southeast. Okay. So you will have negative 4 plus 6. So what is your answer? Anong sabat? Hina ang signal. Okay, sabat natin is 2 because 6 minus 4 is 2. And follow the sign of the bigger absolute number, and 6 is the bigger number. So the sign of 6 is positive, so therefore this is positive. So therefore the answer here is 2 Newton east. That will be your answer. So if you add the two vectors, the answer will be 2 Newton east. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. Let's now go to what if, or case number 2, I mean. So case number 2, if the two lines are forming perpendicular lines. So kung baka nga perpendicular lines, ano nga klase ka linya ang naga-form? Gaiwan ang dalawa ka linya. Or perpendicular. Si parallel bita na wala gamit gamo kara. Okay, ano ta na si perpendicular. Nagaiwan. Two lines are crossing or they're intersecting to each other, di ba? Perpendicular, forming a 90-degree angle. Okay, so this is the 90-degree angle. So we have vector A and vector B. And you're going to add the two, you form a resultant vector, which is the hypotenuse of your right triangle. So, example, if you have vector A, class, is 3 meters north, and vector B is 4 meters west. Kaya mura. So in drawing, you have to be particular with the rule in drawing the vectors. So first, i-draw natin ang first vector. Si first vector natin is going to the north. That's 3 meters. You started here. You put a dot. And then you draw the second vector. The second vector must be, or the tail of the second vector must be, you start at the head of the first vector. So here. So going to the west, that will be. And then the resultant vector is you connect the starting point. So the tail of the first vector to the head of the second vector. So this is the resultant vector. This is the 90-degree angle. This is vector A and this is vector B. So this is 4 and this is 3. Okay, meters. Okay, ang na-form natin is a right triangle. Okay, to solve for the resultant vector, of course, you have to remember the Pythagorean theorem. Wherein Pythagorean theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. In this case, your resultant vector is the c squared. So 3r squared will be equal to a squared plus b squared. Okay, so therefore, the resultant vector will be equal to the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. So the resultant vector will be equal to r, which is a 9, plus 16, and that is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So this one is only the magnitude of the resultant vector. The question is, what is the direction? And you will see this one is the direction. Kung diin ikaw nag-start, kung diin ikaw nag-start, ridturi ang angle nga gina-solve natin. That's the direction that we are solving. And here, you are going to use tangent function. So tangent theta is opposite. Opposite of this angle is 4 here, side B. So that will be 4, and the adjacent is A divided by 3. So theta, therefore, is 4 over 3 shift, or the absolute value of it, -1. So angle theta is 4 divided by 3, and that is 53 degrees something. But the question is, ano dyan nga direction? 50 degrees diin pa adto. Okay, balikan mo to ang imo nga direction. Diay. So kung tirakan ta, diyata na, diay nga part. Kaya kung batangan mo dyan kang sa kalinya, parehas ang da itsura ka to. Diya. So this is west of north. So therefore, therefore, this one is west of north. So amo to hindi nyo paglipatan ang inyong direksyon. So the resultant vector therefore is equal to 5 meters due to 53 degrees west of north. Any question? May question pa kita? Any question? Clear? Ano ang gamitin natin? Pythagorean theorem. Once the two vectors are forming perpendicular line. And in drawing the vectors, you have to draw the first vector first and isugpon ang second vector, until ka second vector, on the head of the first vector. To locate the resultant vector, connect the starting point and the end point. That will be the resultant vector. The angle, class, that you are going to solve for the direction is where you started the vector or the starting point ng karang angle mo. So here, this is the angle because this is the starting point. So I hope that everything is clear with you. Okay? Okay. So for the bonus, kay nag-join ka mo sa meeting natin, stop po rin dyan. Nakopya nyo? Okay, ikopyahan nyo. Ano? Sige lang, recorded man dyan. I-send ko man dyan po nyo kaninyo. Alright? So, 10 seconds left. 7, 5, 4. Press the color. All right. And the correct answer is 2. Durura pa kasabat. Kraan ka mo ni Ma'am Yugadayan. Okay. Elika and Romel. Congratulations. Next, we still have 9 more to go. The average body temperature of a person is 37 degrees Celsius. What is the equivalent value in Kelvin? May formula kay na ako gintugro. 10 seconds left. 7 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. And 310 because degrees Celsius plus 273.5 degrees. So that is 310. Okay, Zare is entering the list. Now let's go to question number 3. Our own sun has a diameter of 1,400,000 kilometers. Express it in scientific notation. Ma'am Gadayan also taught you this. 10 seconds left. 6 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh my. Isipin mo naman ra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to this, to the left. No, 1, 2, 3. And then go to the first. Okay, first number. So 1 is the first number. So that will be 1.4 times 10 raised to 6. 6 ka mo kahulag. Na, mura. Okay, next. If two forces 20 Newton towards north and 12 Newton towards south are acting on an object, what will be the resultant force? 15 seconds. 11, 10, 20 Newtons north and 12 Newtons south. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Clear ang lesson ko. All got a correct answer. Okay, so Zara is on the top list. Let's go to the 5th question. A student adds 2 vectors with magnitudes 3 meters and 4 meters, which is not a possible choice for the resultant. Yung example ko dyan kayo na rin. Kung i-add mong dalawa, si 3 kag si 4, ano ang pwede hindi nga masabat? Ang tatlo pwede na masabat. 5 na lang, 4 na lang, 3 na lang. Answer. Oh. Anditaw nga 3. Ang 1 pwede na masabat. Okay? Huwag nyo gulo na intindihan ng question. Because 3 or 4 minus 3 is 1. So pwede naging masabat 1. Di ba? Pwede ta nakasabat ka 7. Kay 3 plus 4 is 7. Tatlo naman ito kapaagi mong kaina, ma-add kaw, ma-subtract kaw, ukon gamitan mo ka Pythagorean theorem. Ti kaina 3 kag 4 ba itong example ta, kay Pythagorean theorem ta 5 ang sabat. Di ba? So si 3 ang hindi pwede maging resultant ni 3 kag 4. Pwede ta na 1, pwede ta na 7, pwede ta na 5. Kay pwede ta na i-add, pwede ta na i-subtract, kag pwede ta na i-Pythagorean theorem. Amuria. So, ang sabat natin is 3, the blue one. Okay. Let's go to number 6 question. Which is not a basic quantity? Okay. Oh, may sarap pa nga nagtalang. Force is a derived quantity. And Romel is on the top list. Which is not a derived quantity? Eight seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 4. Got a correct answer. Not a derived. Electric current is a basic quantity. Okay? Okay, Zaren is on the top list. Let's go to the 8th question. Prefix nano means masala para daw. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And 3 got a correct answer. 10 raised to negative 9. Okay, so Freselin is on the top. Let's go to question number 9. The tail of an arrow signifies for the magnitude of the vector. The tail of an arrow signifies for the magnitude of the vector. Okay, all got a correct answer. Right? And let's go to the last question. Which of the following is the definition of a vector quantity? Two, 1, 0. Okay, bo may darwa pa nga sala. A quantity has both magnitude and direction. Okay, so let's have the podium. Romel is third. And then Zara is second. Then Freselin is first, I mean. And our 2. Sino tong dalawa? Lawatan ko. Sino tong dalawa? Romel, Zara, Zarain, and then Lian and Salvador. Okay. So see you all next week. So we will meet next week.